Hello everyone, welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan and this is my fish room. I haven't done a video about this space in general for a little bit now, and people love fish room tours, so I always say give the people what they want, and that's what we're gonna do right now, starting with the only other breathing organism in this room besides me that's not a fish, Elmo. Elmo is my Morkie, Maltese and Yorkshire Terrier mix. He's 16 years old but acts 4, and when he's behaved, he sits with me in that chair while my legs are up on this footstool uploading this video onto my YouTube channel, which is where we'll all be in just a few minutes. But first things first, we're gonna go around here and look at this beautiful ADA high. It's a 60H or 60 high, I think that's it, and it's about 22.5 gallons. Those extra gallons are what give you the height, right? So what a fabulous tank. Maybe this is my most perfectly realized aquarium right now. In other words, I have no challenges with this tank other than high class challenges. Leaves on the pool, as it were, high class problems. Plants grow too fast, too quickly, too well, given I'm putting CO2, have this beautiful twin star light, and I always keep my hands in the tank, and maintenance and water changes. I'm on top of all of it, and this aquarium reflects those successes by its virtuosity. So beautiful. I'm so happy, and oh my gosh, no reflection on this video. Usually I'm plagued by that sort of thing. Better aquarist than I am a cinematographer. But SB or lamb chop rasboras up top there, a group of a dozen, and below them ember tetras. They all school together, which I am not a fan of. I'd rather have them more separate, delineated, 2 separate groups, but here we are, there they are, and all is well. The plant growth in this aquarium is stupendous. I've got Blixa japonica in front there, Sturgeon repens on either side. So make sure that's the Blixa, that's the Sturgeon repens. And then up here, I've got a real common Rotala. And what I like about this stem plant is that even down at the bottom, it stays together and doesn't get decrepit like a lot of stem plants without light at the bottom. Those leaves start to die, which is what's always happening with this beautiful red. I think this is Ludwigia repens, or did I call that one? I get confused, especially when I'm filming, I get nervous. These are common stem plants, but down at the bottom, I lose leaves. I'm always pulling them out, which is an acceptable problem. I would ideally prefer not to have that undercarriage of my plants basically dead, but the more I do this hobby, the more plants I try, the more I find there's very few plants that will hold their own from top to bottom. Still, the part that the eye sees has a beautiful crimson rust red color, and it grows quickly, and I can plant the cuttings from the top very readily. Hygrophila pinnifida right here, that's these gorgeous fronds that also can make for a tight growing plant, as you see it here wrapped around the hardscape. Some Christmas moss. This could be flame moss, I forget, or spike moss. It's one of the 3 mosses that are not Java moss. They have, God, that's a good picture. I rarely see it this crisp and clear. I must remember this lighting and time of day for when I make more videos. Here we have AR plants, the alternately rednecky. Oh God, did I butcher that? And then some clippings of this gorgeous stem plant, which are just the tops, because the bottom of this particular stem do get emaciated and decrepit as it reaches for the top. And I might be switching that out with something else, but I still can't resist that beautiful yellow, red, and green effect. And when it is up to the top, it is a beautiful sight to see. So right now, the two primary clearings are where the fish congregate, and here they've chosen, to my delight, the front and center framed by all this growth. So I'm gonna keep moving. I could talk about this tank forever, especially when it's looking so good in this camera light. But let's snap over to a traditional 20 gallon. This is from Oase, my Cinescaper kit, the Cinescaper 60, a beautiful kit. Look it up, they're being sold in North America now. And I've got a Chihiro's light on top, a very popular and great piece of equipment. You can adjust easily from your phone all the different LEDs that are within it. Right now I'm running at less than half its potential, and you could argue it's still too bright. In here I've got Bexford pencilfish, which you see right up in front, and then a whole bunch of green neon tetras, which when they do come out in a swarm and fairly arbitrarily, it's a sight to see. I love green neon tetras. I wish these were out more in the tank. But even when I cut the back stem plants, and there is all that real estate, they still like to hide beneath the what you can see of the spiderwood, and then more of the Hygrophila P, which has created a complete bush from left to right of this tank. I've got a carpet of dwarf hairgrass that's being invaded by some sage, and I've got crypts pretty much sort of to the left and right, and then some anubias in here, which I discovered when I was doing a massive cleaning, and it was in perfectly great shape, although hidden from the light. The honey gourami. What a gorgeous fish for $6 or $7, maybe even cheaper. And you can keep them by themselves. As a matter of fact, in Nano tank, it's a great option for that powerful burst of color, which you can then put pretty much any Nano fish school, as you see the two I've chosen as your choice. You don't need pairs or groups of honey gourami. But man, what an amazing fish for well under 10 bucks. All right, let's move across the wall, that great wallpaper. Thank you, my wife, for finding that. Some of my obscure, fun pieces of artwork. But I can go on about that. This was a hobby of mine, collecting what I call quote-unquote junk masterpieces over the course of my life. And these are just a few of them. Maybe capturing more of the machismo than tropical fish do. Before I get to that, speaking of machismo, one of the leather jackets from my vintage leather jacket collection, that's a Shot Perfecto circa 70s, and it's patched up and awesome, and I've got it on an antique, what do you call those things, mannequin, wardrobe holder. Down into a collection of tropical fish hobby ephemeral goods. I've got the Penplax Craptacular aquarium decor from the 70s and 80s and 90s. I would never put this in an aquarium even when I was a kid, but it has a fun collectability and irony to it, which I really enjoy. I have it displayed on some Container Store boxes that I just use as sort of makeshift shelving. It's kind of self-explanatory. Here is some antique or vintage literature from the hobby, and inside a lot of these books are literally hand-drawn illustrations, which you could cut out and frame, and I might do something like that. But what a fun little display here that adds some charm and character. Do it in your fish room. Up on the top shelf, which would be too high, I think, for keeping an aquarium, the maintenance alone would be a nightmare of water changes. More of that fun stuff. This is a beautiful print, more legitimate antique of classic tropical fish. It's a European art print that I found on eBay. Here's an older Penplex craptacular. I'm using that word because how else do you describe a scuba diving dog? I love the graphics, the choice of brown, yellow, and red. That color scheme, so vintage. This is a ceramic air bubbler that you would put in your aquarium. That's I found that on Etsy, I think. Some more fun old stuff. I'm old enough to actually remember metaframes, soft spun wool as they're calling it, or just floss and charcoal. But again, the graphics, the typeface, the pictures of the fish, I just love it, and I don't have to take care of it up here, and it adds a different kind of character that people that maybe aren't as enamored of the livestock as you and I, they would appreciate it too. Got a vintage aquarium there, and some of these ceramic bubblers. How cool is that, right? And then in the back, that is driftwood, obviously, and I use it, and I have used it, and when I zoom down here, you'll see a piece of it in here, in this, my 32-gallon long SR Aquaristic bookshelf aquarium, although this is too big to be on any bookshelf. Anything over 20 gallons, hard pressed to call it a bookshelf tank. But these long and shallows, that's sort of how they're referred to in the hobby in general. I've got a little ATO, an auto top-off system with the F-zone pump system, and then I found this 1.5 gallon container at Container Store versus paying for a water reservoir from a sump manufacturer, which costs 4 times the money. I'd get more room, but it's kind of neat having this sleek little restoration hardware or Container Store piece of furniture alongside tidily this great aquarium, which from day one has had a school of longfin white cloud mountain minnows, a fancy strain. I found a breeder online, and I got about 8 or 9 from him, and then another handful from redfish, bluefish in Oregon, all higher end strain of that very classic aquarium fish. I've got the duckweed, the in and out, and frog, but really more so than duckweed. I've got the driftwood kind of in and out of the aquarium. I've got pothos growing on the outside, inside, at the back there in a nifty little plastic container. The roots pull out nitrates from the water and also add character. Anything that comes out of the aquarium that fits the motif, I think adds a stupendous amount to the tank in general. But this hardscape, this aquascape, I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm letting this, it's not dwarf sage, I forget what its name's off the tip of my tongue. It grows like a weed, and it's kind of carpeting back there. That's why I'm keeping it in there. I think the scape would look cleaner if it wasn't there at all, but no one's ever accused me of being super clean. Here's some more of that stem that I showed you in the other tank. Here, because there is plenty of light from at least 3 sides, the bottom part isn't getting wiped out by lack of light. Plus it's shallower, so I'm clipping and trimming more frequently. So that's this tank. My last video featured this 12-gallon long from Lifeguard Aquatics, and I talked extensively about the inside-outside part of the aquascape, and so I won't belabor this video with that, but it's showing really nicely despite my reflections and crappy videography. Chili rasboras are the primary species in here, and as I said in the previous video, I haven't kind of dialed in exactly how to make fish work in this tank. Believe it or not, I have 2 peacock gudgeons in here. I'm gonna find one. There you go. That's our male. You could tell by the bump on the head. I forget what they call that, conical. Anyway, I have a male and a female. They breed constantly, but I haven't tried to deal with their eggs because honestly I don't have a separate aquarium for that. And I also have one sparkling gourami in here, a bunch of pygmy coreodoras, a mono shrimp, and autosynclus. By the way, all those last 3 to 5 species are in all my tanks. A mono shrimp, autosynclus, pygmy coreodora or coreodora, and neocaridina shrimp. Generally speaking, I have representatives from all those groups in all of my tanks. So I didn't mention it in some of them, but there are, here you can see autosynclus on the glass with their good fat tummies. That's how you tell if your autos are happy, if their tummies are round and they don't look emaciated. So I have that going on. And then up here, as I already covered, and this, let me do this. You guys gotta bear with me because how cool is that light fixture? It almost reminds me of something from like Aquaman's study. Maybe that's what this is. This looks like if Aquaman had a study, right? That's the effect, honestly, I sort of kind of want, so I'm happy with that. And before I close, I always forget this, but on the lowest level, I've got my brine shrimp hatchery that's pretty much going 24/7. This is the Zeus, I believe it's called. You can find it anywhere. I like it. I wish I loved it. I have some minor issues, but basically I get what I need, which is a shit ton of baby brine shrimp. Here, don't ask me why. I've got a receptacle with some extra moss and random cuttings. Some sphagnum moss is coming out of the top there. And I attached this little light that sticks to the bottom, like the ceiling of this piece of wood I found in the alley and spray painted black. This essentially serves no meaningful purpose, but I'm waiting for some sort of inspiration and I'll figure out what I might do there. I might actually, as I talk and think out loud, this could be where I put a quarantine tank, but it would be smaller than I'd like for a quarantine tank, and then that might defeat the purpose. Any ideas, let me know. But right now it's brine shrimp in that random vase. Here's the hardscaping materials, basically divided by stone, rock, and pebbles. And then I've got another vintage aquarium where I keep my rags and that's a metaframe with the the metal casing. What a great look. And I am old enough to remember having my first tank be one of those. So before I got to the bottom there, and before I close, I'm just gonna walk backwards at the other aquarium on the opposite side of the wall, my 130 gallon, 135, not sure, display tank, which though it is looking great and does look great, I've been having myriad issues, and I will be talking more about those in another video moving forward. Thank you for the 20 minutes or close to it. That's about as long a video as I've ever made, and I sure appreciate you making it to the end. Any questions, I will answer them. Comments, criticisms, observations, ideas, let me know. I love to hear from you, and as always, keep your hands in the tank. Ciao for now.